Supply chain maturity and complexity simply talks about the level of integration or connectivity that exists within a supply chain. And this, of course, is as compared to other competitors, supply chain. Now, as an organization with a focus to improving the value of your supply chain, it is very important that you do the following. One, you must understand your current state of maturity, right? Two, you also need to highlight what is your desired state of maturity? So where do you want to get to eventually? And lastly, how do we close the gap that exists between both states of maturity? My name is Chinedu and welcome to this interesting episode of Supply Chain Management. Straight to it. Now, there are basically five stages of supply chain evolution or maturity, as we call it. And this is, of course, because of the rise in technology. We see a lot of changes happening today. And it's very important that as most organizations actually operate in different layers. Some have the resources, some do not have the resources. Of course, these have factors in placing your organization on what level of evolution or maturity you are at the moment. And it's very important that you understand the differences between these levels. That would make you look forward to getting to the right path eventually. So, whether you're a lateral organization, as we discussed the previous week, or you have a vertical integration, or even a hybrid of both, any of this could be applicable to you. Now, let's start with the first one. What is a multiple dysfunctional maturity level? Now, this is what we call a very reactive approach of supply chain. So, if your supply chain today is more or less a reactive one, where you are always on the reactive side, you don't call any shots, you react to the market instead of leading the market, right? And you don't react efficiently, right? Rather, you just have the knack to just react. And this includes how would you understand, right, if your organization is at this level? One, the internal activities, it's always ad hoc. So when you see that from your placing demand, demand management, everything about your inventory control, everything about what you do, it's ad hoc. It's not planned. Oh, yes, I have an order today, and then you send this. Oh, this truck is coming today, you send that. So it's never pre-planned. It's always on the rush, right? The management of such companies, you always see there's this pep talk about, oh, bring your best, and there's threats all over the air. There's never clarity in communication in such kind of system, right? And you always see that the focus of forecasting, for the future is always a guesswork. And more or less, like you see down on the screen, it's always inflated by marketing optimism. Now, is it bad to be optimistic? Never. But then, where this optimism is not backed by data becomes a problem. So when you see a system or a supply chain system where the forecast is always guesswork. Okay, we'll do this number, we'll do that number. Oh, we expect this truck, we're going to convert this at this time, and then there's no basis, right? That system is going through a multiple dysfunctional supply chain, right? Purchasing, of course, the people do not carry groups along. You can say that purchasing is also hard work. Okay, oh, we need this part. Oh, we are just knowing today, and then you place the order today. Oh, I need this other part. All of these things makes up for a multiple dysfunctional supply chain. So there's poor planning, there's no preferred or consistent supplier. As you see on the next screen, you can use any supplier at any time, whether it's planned or unplanned, right? And of course, lastly, there's so much working in silos in this kind of system. Now, this is the summary of it. You can see suppliers, you can see how data moves. Everything is scattered. Everybody is on their toes. Oh, let's do this. Just on the spot. Threat and everything, how the materials, of course, move from suppliers to customers and payments, vice versa. You can see that data is moved across marketing, sales, purchasing, logistics, distribution, even production control. It is scattered. There's no particular order. Now, what does this mean for that particular supply chain? You always see that your cost is increased, and that is, of course, clear because you have to rely, like we said, have your on so much effort to get things done, and always at the rush hour, right? Your profitability is decreased, of course. Market share, you can't grow with this kind of system. Your customers are never satisfied. That's the truth. And this system requires minimal connectivity, and that's also very, very important to note. And capital assets to respond to demand. So you can see so much human effort, so much. Everybody is doing so much to control so little. Now, this episode, like I said, is aimed to understanding the first, which is this multiple dysfunctional supply chain. Now ask yourself, am I operating in this level of supply chain? So before you want to look at what happens next, it's very important to understand where you are at. So if this is happening in your organization, this effect you see here, it tells you that, oh, I'm actually in this level. And this is the lowest form of the supply chain evolution that you can be at. But then there's good news. As on the next episode, we'll look at what next can I do better when we compare this to the next layer, the second layer, before we get to the fifth layer. Thank you for listening today. Feel free to drop your questions. There are several examples of this chain, of these processes as well. But then let's hear your questions. Like, follow, and of course, drop your questions. We're very much available to give you that answer as we guide you in this interesting episode of supply chain management. Thank you and see you on the next episode. Bye.